everybody, and welcome back to You Know How This Ends, the podcast that reminds you that the only thing that you have to do to be able to get all your hopes and dreams coming true is to not give up and to just keep going, keep trusting. I am here, so excited to introduce you to my new friend, Steph Winger from The Right Blend. Welcome, Steph.
Welcome. Hello. Thank you.
Thank you. So happy to have you. So, Steph is calling BS on the life work balance. She says it's not a balance at all. It's actually a blend. She's had 20 plus years as being a realtor, a real estate agent, and realized there's a better way to do life. So now she is a performance coach and adds in a little bit of magic into how she teaches and coaches, which I love because I just told her, I'm like, that's so fun. One of my taglines that I always talk about is magic and miracles. So we're both believers in the magic of the universe. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm so happy to have you here, Steph.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, it was so fun. We kind of ended up connecting in I can't remember which Facebook group it was, but connecting in a Facebook group and I reached out to her and I was like, let's have a little chat. And so we hopped on Zoom and it was actually I was having a super emotional week and Steph was like, "Are you okay?" And it just felt so good to talk to someone who's in the industry, who knows how all of this works, who was just so loving and open and welcoming and just felt so feminine. Like we talk about how, as women, we women need other women. Women need to talk things out. Women need other women who understand them and can just hold space for them, right? Like girls need girls. We
Yeah.
just do. And that was just the perfect, even though it was our first time meeting, like it just felt so loving and supportive and was exactly what I needed. And I was like, this was meant to be.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, we are going to be friends.
I
Yeah.
know it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So, ladies, if you and it was interesting because that week I had two private conversations with new friends, and it's not something that I really do that often. And I was telling you how usually when people are like, "Oh, we should have a little chat and get to know each other," I'm like, I've got stuff to do. Like I'm Capricorn. I am focused. If there's not a point behind something, then I don't really want to waste my time is how I saw it in the past. But I'd kind of been realizing like, no, creating relationships is important. That's the point, is to cultivate relationships. And so I had been opening up to that and had two. So Tara Metler, who was on my podcast a few weeks ago, she was the one that I had connected with earlier, and she's also in finances. So that was super fun. And then connecting with you, and you're in real estate and investing and in finances and in feminine energy coaching. And it was just the universe reminding me taking time to let yourself be nurtured, nurture others, and cultivate these relationships is actually one of the most important things that you can do. So I love that of all the people that the universe could have brought me, that it was you.
Yeah, it was perfect. And I mean, like, like talking about being in the feminine is like that's part of us is like to nurture. And we are constantly like in business doing and being in our masculine. So when we take a second and we open up to be in our feminine, and just take a chance like okay, you know what, let's have a 20-minute call, and if you're not feeling the vibe, if you're not feeling the energy, then you don't have another call. But when you're at least open to receive, like, these great magical
Like
things
we
happen.
did.
Yeah.
It was perfect. It was perfect. So, Steph, tell our listeners a little bit about you, who you are, where you're at. Give us a little background on where you live and your family and everything, and then tell us a little bit about why you do why you do what you do.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'm a Canadian and just north of the border from you. And I've got two kids. I mean, they're grown now, they're in their 20s, but when I started, I was doing real estate, little kids in tow. And I was like stuck between like being a mom and being a businesswoman. And when I was with the kids, I felt like I should be with my clients and vice versa. And in the meantime, I was neglecting myself. Fast forward a few years, I ended up with a diagnosis of MS, multiple sclerosis, and that was like a wake-up call of like, oh crud, I'm missing out on something. So
Yeah.
that was really like I said, a wake-up call of I need to change something in my life. So I made some big life adjustments and started working on blending of like not just taking care of my kids or taking care of my business, but doing both. And also remembering what I like to do for fun,
Mhm.
caring for myself, like not just like massages and self-care, but like eating properly, going back and, like I love watching live music. So I went back to watching live
Oh, I
music.
love that.
doing fun things because if I wasn't feeling well, then nobody else is getting helped. Um, yeah, so I've been a realtor for over 20 years. I opened my own real estate brokerage and I always had this drive and I guess like little passion to help. Originally, I wanted to just help other young female realtors.
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
I remember what it was like when I started, and it was like a male-dominated industry, and like just be quiet, little girl. What do you think you're doing? So I wanted to like help out younger realtors and so that they could avoid the pitfalls and some of the things that I went through. And then I thought, why am I stopping at realtors? There's tons of women in business that this can apply to. So I just really wanted to take the methodology that I was using, and I started using like the 12-week year, which we can geek about.
No.
I loved having that focus. And the first year that I really dove into it, I like doubled my business. And just because I had that focus and sense of urgency and a better streamlined system to run my business. So yeah, I took like the principles and fundamentals from there and I kind of morphed it into my own thing that I call the right blend to make sure that we're not just, getting clients or selling houses or hitting goals, but that we're also like integrating our family and ourselves, like having the masculine and the feminine,
Yes.
all of the separate hats or all of
Right
the
blend of
shoes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, the separate shoes or whatever you might change out. And that made a world of difference because then I like truly felt like I was coming alive and I was a better mom, a better businesswoman, and turned into a better coach.
Oh, 100%. So many things I love about all this. And that was another piece that for me, when you brought up the 12-week year, and it was so interesting because just like a date, because it's a very well-known book. I never actually read it. I remember chat GPTing it a while back and being like, tell me like the basic. I feel like I would know like you're gonna combine 12 months into 12 weeks and you're gonna shorten your timeline and blah blah. And I was like, Chatty Patty, this is what I call mine. Chatty Patty, what like give me a synopsis of 12-week year. And I remember it like broke it down. I was like, all right, like I can do that, like check, right? And then not really following through with anything. But it was so interesting because after you brought it up to me when we chatted a few weeks ago, I was like, it just kind of stuck with me. And as I was doing some journaling and I was reviewing some notes from years and years ago when with one of the coaches that I worked with, and I had written down a note. I do best when I have short goals that I can hit in short amounts of time and big celebrations. I mean, anyone else out there like that, right? And so and then it brought up like the 12-week year, and I was like, maybe this is exactly what I need to be doing to help me to feel, because like you talked about, and then like it talks about, so then I went and I have all my stuff right here. I went and bought the book, I got on Audible, I got the workbook, like all the things, and I've been really enjoying the last few weeks diving into that and getting some clarity around that. And really, I mean, we all know, I mean, it's at the time of this recording, it's end of July. I don't know that I could even tell you what my New Year's resolutions were in January.
Yeah.
Like if I thought really hard, I might be able to remember and I could probably go and find a list or something somewhere. I might not have even set any this year because I was like, I'm just doing all the things and I know what I'm doing. I don't need to write it down, right? But that reminder, like, can you condense it into shorter timelines and celebrate more often and have more clarity in that process? So tell me like your insight and thoughts on that. Because
Yeah, so it's really and like just getting rid of the annual thinking. Because the only thing that a calendar year is good for is like filing our taxes, right? We need to like work with the seasons and different things. So, and if you're only waiting for January 1 to set your goals, then what are we doing here in July? We're gonna wait like another 5 or 6 months to
exactly,
set
right.
goals.
Well, and it makes me think of, so Dave and I used to watch The Biggest Loser years ago when it was popular, and we'd fold, it was Monday nights, and so we'd fold laundry. I did laundry on Mondays, and we'd like pour everything on the floor and we'd fold all the laundry. And then once it was all folded, we'd get big bowls of ice cream and we'd sit there and we'd watch The Biggest Loser with our giant bowls of ice cream. And one of my favorite things, Jillian Michaels, she was amazing. And she would say, when you get a flat tire, you don't slash the other three. when you like don't hit your goal or your number or whatever it is, you don't like, oh well, guess I'll start again on Monday. Guess I'll start again in January. Like, no. And that's like this podcast, right? Keep going. You know how this ends. Don't give up. Don't stop and wait. Like, just do the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like even if so what I love about the 12-week year and even why I shortened it because your year is 12 weeks, like
Hmm.
not 12 months. So then like you're more focused, you've got a better sense of urgency and you like yes, your goal might be a little smaller that you're setting, but then you know what you're focused on. But it also gives you an opportunity like if you're 4 or 6 weeks in and your action step or your tactic is not working, like if, if you were a realtor that I was coaching and your goal was, 7 transactions and I'm going to make 100 calls a week. Well, if we get it to week 4 and you're making all these phone calls and you're not seeing any progress towards your goal, we need to make a change. So we're not going to change the goal, but maybe we need to like switch to social media or doing postcards or email. Like we need to change the tactic.
Yes.
Being able to have that shorter timeline, it's easier to like make a change and make a pivot. It's like going on a road trip. Like we might hit a detour on the road, but like our destination isn't going to change.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I love that. And you even talked about how within those 12 weeks, the way that you coach women on this is that you break that actually down into 4 week cycles, which when you said that, I was like, yes, queen. Yes, please,
Yeah.
please, please. Right? Because we as women, we're not the same day in, day out. We're not the same across 12 weeks. We're not even the same across 4 weeks. Literally, scientists, when they have taken the hormones of one woman and measured them as she has gone through her entire 4 week cycle, it looks like four completely different women. That's how much we change. And so expecting ourselves to act the same day in, day out, week in, week out, it doesn't work. It does
Yeah.
not work. So tell
And,
us more about that.
yeah, well, even like men listening to this, like, I talk about like let's work with our rhythm versus against it. So, men, you have your own rhythm as well. It might be 24 hours. You're like the sun. We are like the moon. We are 28 days.
Mhm.
But also, like, there's the rhythm of the seasons. Like, you're operating differently in summer versus fall.
So
So,
true.
don't fight against it. Um, and where were we going?
As
Like,
I
yeah.
was feeling into, oh, what? Say that again.
I was just wondering where I was going. The other thing I love is that if we're always waiting for January 1 or like the first of the month, then we're missing a ton of time. What I love about the 12-week year, the right blend, is we could start on a random Tuesday. It doesn't even have to be a Monday. We can just have the plan and we can start implementing now. We're not
Yeah.
waiting for a special milestone to get it started. So if we're as women, if we're looking at, okay, I know where I'm at in my cycle right now, so I'm going to adjust my tactics this week. Like if this is the week that I feel like I want to murder everybody, maybe I'm just gonna like, you know, stay inside and
Maybe I'm not
hibernate.
going to do reach outs, right?
Yeah. But then, like there's weeks and days where you're like super motivated, you're on fire. So harness that and work with it.
I love that so much. I'm taking little notes here because I'm like, these are things that I want to come back to. Um, when I was thinking, as I've been thinking about this and like thinking up or thinking about, okay, how would I want to set up my 12 weeks? And I love how you actually those 12 weeks are actually 13 weeks because we have more than 48 weeks in a year, right? We actually have 52 weeks, so we have 13-week cycles. But that 13th week is like your celebration time. That's your like every 12 weeks you go on a vacation. You take a week off, you do whatever, right? You reassess, you realign, you take a break, you rest, you rejuvenate. And even as I'm saying this, if we're really truly living in alignment, it's not so much that we need to rest and rejuvenate because we haven't overstressed. We haven't pushed, we haven't hustled, we haven't ground, however you would say that in the past tense,
Yeah.
ground, grinding. But it's a time, my grandpa used to always say, a rest is as good as a break. Or excuse me, a break is, no, a change, that's what it is. A change is as good as a rest. And
Hmm.
sometimes we just need a change of pace. We need some different scenery. We need a different focus. We just need something different. And the way you have that set up of having that interim week, that 13th week, that's exactly what that is. And I love the idea of going on 4 vacations a year. I'm like, sign me up. Sign
Yeah.
on the line, right? Like, let's do this.
Yeah, and then you are planning out a celebration too, because after the 12 weeks, and it's not so much did I hit my goal or not, like we're
Oh,
also celebrating all of those 12 weeks as well. Like how did we do each day? How did we do
yes.
each week? And celebrating. Because like scientifically, our brain needs like these dopamine hits. And if we only wait until we've hit the goal, then we're gonna bail out at week 3.
I'm like, no, no, no. Like, we celebrate every step of the way, right? In all of this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Like even like think of like little kids, like if you're trying to get them to do chores or like potty training, you've got a little chart on the wall and they're putting like they're putting stickers on there. Why? Because like it's not the end, they're not caring about like being potty trained. They're excited about getting the sticker on the chart
They
every
want the
time they go.
reward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
give yourself, and that was that reminder for me. Like I said, when I was going back and looking through my journaling notes, was like, oh, I need lots of rewards and short timelines. Like I'm like a little kid.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I'm actually like I'm Capricorn. I am, and so when you talk about like we don't need to wait till January 1st, the last few years I've resisted setting goals on January 1st because I'm like I'm setting goals literally probably every week. I have a new idea, a new focus, a new something. But that's also part of the problem as well is continuing like, oh, now I'm gonna try this new thing. Oh, now I'm gonna try this new thing instead of staying focused for those 12 weeks on one goal. Like we can do that for what is it, like 90 days or whatever, right? Like we can stay focused on one thing, one aspect and then reassessing and reassessing as you go for sure, but allowing yourself to stay focused on the one thing and giving it enough time. Like in one of our just last podcasts, we talk about that gestation period of giving it that time to actually see some results, get comfortable in whatever it is that you're doing instead of just like, oh, a day or two and it's not working. I haven't met my $50,000 week yet. I guess I'm out.
Yeah, or like even compare it like going to the gym too. Like, okay,
Oh,
I did
so good.
three I did 3 sit-ups. Like, where's my abs?
I know, I know. I remember when I used to be like more focused on like diet and exercise and stuff. I was like, I'm so hungry. I should be fitting into these jeans by now. I am starving, right? And now I look back at the old me and I'm like, oh, honey, that's not the way to do it.
Oh,
Learned so much. As I would another fun thing as I was looking and just like the beautiful ways that we get to choose how we live our lives, right? And as I was thinking about like, hey, how would I set up my 12-week year? Do I want to set it up with because I'm very much I'm an amateur astrologer, so I love aligning with astrology and human design and all the things. And I was like, ooh, the 12 weeks could be with the different solstice and equinox, right? Like we could have
yeah.
December 21st to March 21st and March 21st to June 21st. So that's one way, like that would be a very feminine way to do it is aligning with the cycles of the earth. The other thing that came in really clearly for me personally was I want to be able to have time in the summer to have my focus be on my time with my family when they're home, when I'm home, and align my business so that summer is a very light load for me.
Yeah.
So having like June, July, August would be like a very clear, these are 12 weeks where I'm still gonna work. I've tried doing the whole don't ever work thing and it's no fun. I love
Yeah.
my work. I love my profession. I love my career. I love my people that I work with. But how can I align the rest of the year so that either we're just in flow in the summer and money and clients and stuff are coming in from evergreen opportunities or different things like that. Yeah, just so what are some ways that you've seen people set up those 12-week years?
Yeah, and I wanted to like even just saying like you said like June, July, August would be like summertime, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to start your 12 weeks on July 1st. Like you could start your next 12-week year on August 1st if you wanted, or August 4th, this coming month,
Mhm.
whatever. But then the first month of that is like totally being like kids back to school, like savoring the last juicy bits of the summer. And then,
Nice.
September after Labor Day, then you can gear it up. So it's not saying that your 12-week year has to be the exact same.
You one start, yeah, okay, yeah.
So you could start at any time. Like, you could start any day of the week, any month of the year. You can just start because you're excited about the plan. Um, but I also wanted to backtrack about like people getting ideas or like falling off track because they haven't started with the big first step, which is your vision.
Yeah, I've loved doing that. And I've written out visions a million times, right? But doing it with a little bit more clarity and actually going, because I'm a big thinker. I feel like most women who are these driven, focused, visionary, empire building women, we have these big goals and these big dreams, and we're like, I want to hit $1 million this year, just because like that's one of the milestones, right? And just all these different things. And in the past, I've had a tendency to hit these huge or to set these huge goals. And then I would tell myself, I'd rather shoot for the stars and hit the moon, right? But then there's always some disappointment there and feeling like you're not enough and you didn't hit your goals. And so having that opportunity to sit down and really, really get clear, like, okay, this is my 3 year goal. What can I actually hit in 3 years? And my three rules are my three like litmus test words are it has to feel easy, has to feel joyful, and it has to feel expansive. Because
Mm,
easy might be like, I'm going to hang out on the couch and eat ice cream and watch Netflix, right? But that doesn't feel expansive. And it's joyful for a bit, but then you're just kind of like, all right, let's go do something, right? So it has to fill all three of those. Um, so yeah, so sitting down and getting that clarity on that big picture vision and then break it down in these small bite-sized pieces. I mean,
yeah.
so
And
good.
and then also don't get like too lost in the weeds of doing the vision. Like because if your goal for the next 12 weeks, like obviously you're not going to make $1 million in the, well, somebody might make a million
Right?
dollars in the
Yep.
next 12 weeks, but that might not be possible for you because that might be your,
Depending on where everyone's at, for sure.
yeah.
Excuse me.
So, but in the next 12 weeks, you can get some things set up. Like you might need to get some stuff organized or some systems in place or
And
relationships fixed. Like it could be any of the area of your life. It's like what needs fixing next.
yeah.
And, you might have like two or three areas. Like I wouldn't have like 10 goals for the next 12 weeks, like maybe have two, three to focus on,
Mhm.
so that you can manage it. But also like making sure you have that blend of like some fun and like making sure, like you said, like you like expanse and ease and joy. Well, working all the time is not always joyful.
No.
And having like that built into your day, into the week, so that if you bump up against something, you're not going to be like, oh, forget it. This is too hard. And I'm just going to try something else. It's got to be attached to that longer term vision that really like keeps you connected and you're aligned and
Yes.
not just doing things for the sake of doing it.
And doing it in the way that feels good for you. Like for me, I crave being outside. And so in the summertime, if I am in my office, even though I love my office and I have a big, beautiful window and stuff, if I feel like I'm spending all this beautiful summertime in my office, I had about a week of that. I usually don't. Like I just don't. Like I know I can handle it. But a couple weeks ago, I had a really busy week and I was just in my office most of the time. And I literally was just like, like I can't do this. On the flip side, last week, still had a bunch of stuff going on, but we spent 3 out of the five, no, let's see, 4 out of the 7 days last week, we were out at the lake, in the mountains, at the river, out doing something. And even if like I took my younger boys and some cousins that were here staying with us, I took them to the lake and I sat on the beach and I went for a swim for a bit and then I sat on the beach and did my 12-week year stuff. But I was outside and I was like laying in the shade and had the wind, like it was beautiful and amazing. And I could have been like, no, like I need to stay in the office. I need to get this stuff done. Or I could have been like, no, if I'm out with the kids, I need to be with the kids and doing that, right? But for me, it's finding the blend of how that works all together in a way that I feel how like I feel good about how I'm showing up in my business, in my personal life, and as a mom. And completely letting that look however it needs to look and however you want it to look for you and your family.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be an either or, it can be
All of it.
all of
It's the
it.
perfect blend. And I love how I wanted to go back to what you were talking about at the beginning when you were introducing yourself of that realizing the importance of taking time for yourself and not just in, bubble baths and massages, even though those are two of my favorite things on the planet. But even just with the way that you're eating and your exercise and just kind of all those basic things. Um, oh, I was like, where was I going to go with that? But how did that change you and how did that actually bless your family?
Well, I mean, like number one, the example of like for my kids that I'm not just the person who like slaves away for my kids or slaves away for my business, that I'm making time for me so that they, saw some healthy eating habits and like lifestyle changes. So setting the example for them and then having the boundaries with work and the boundaries with kids. So I was still able to like, have the cookies at the bake sale and take care of my clients. And I felt like I was more patient, more present with my kids. Like it just, like they say, put your oxygen mask on first. It's like
Yeah.
take care of yourself first.
Yes.
And life doesn't have to be that way. Like, like I watched my parents and my like grandparents, like everything was like almost like survival and the hustle. And
Martyrdom.
yeah. And like because they like that's where they came from. It's like they had like massive work ethic and we have to get stuff done and we got to build these things. Well, once you get to this level of stability, like you don't need to be in survival mode anymore.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I don't need to be in survival mode all of the time. But it
Yeah.
also like took on like it wasn't just what I was eating and exercising and things like that, or eliminating toxins from my environment. It was a lot of inner work too. And I found um, that blending that into the 12-week year and working with performance, like I could help somebody create the most beautiful plan and action steps and let's have accountability meetings and let's do all this stuff. But for some reason, they would just keep bailing and they couldn't figure out why. And, like, because they might procrastinate or just totally avoid doing the thing and they have no clue why. So in comes these, like it's beyond mindset. It's like emotional barriers, unconscious things,
Yes.
somatic things that you're holding in your body. So I
Oh,
found when I worked on that, it's like another light switch went on, like went to a whole different level. So
yeah.
that's where like some of that magic comes in. Like I'm not just helping people hit goals because you can really push through and pressure through and get stuff done.
Most of us have done that, right? It's like we've seen the results from that.
Then you get sick, you're grouchy, like it's not you, it doesn't feel fulfilling. Yeah, like look at all I did and look at the awards on my walls, but it doesn't feel good. So working through those emotional things and all of the underlying gunk, the
Yes.
stuff, then when you take action, you've got that ease, you've got the joy, and it's just like I just feel more alive working
Yes.
from that point rather than the hustle and get stuff done
Oh yeah,
mentality.
100%. That's one of my biggest things that I remind people of is for men as well, but especially as women, our relationships are so important. And the way that we're showing up as mothers, as wives, as sisters, as daughters, all that, like that's important. That's really, really important to us. And so if we're achieving career and business success at the expense of our relationships, it actually doesn't feel worth it in the end. It's not worth it at all. So,
Yeah, and I mean, like historically, like women did stuff together. Like we were like ruling the world. And yeah, and we were meant to be in community together as women. And I think I mentioned when we chatted before, like I never wanted to do women's events. I'm like, because of
yeah,
Botox and handbags. And
yes.
I was invited to a couple events this year, and it totally changed my perspective. And I fell in love with like the most beautiful women.
Mm,
And I got to see them for who they were. They got to see me. Like the barriers came down, and it was just incredible. Like the conversations that we got to have and the collaborations, and you could see the power that is getting built between women. And then like you and I sitting down and having a conversation and
right?
like just the energy going off. But at the one event that I was at, like they talked about men in business, where people will work with you if they know, like, and trust you. That's a totally male thing. Women, we operate on energy, right? So we will work with somebody based on their energy.
Yes, how it feels.
Yeah. So we don't need the know, like, and trust. Like that feels like too much work. Like we can just walk into a room, we can get into a Zoom room with somebody and we know, we can feel it.
I love that. Tell us about the exercise that you said that you guys did where you just connected without knowing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because, and a lot of people at the event were like expecting it to be like business like, and let's get to work, let's get stuff done. And we walked in the room and it was like, you can share your names, but you can't ask each other like what you do about your kids. It's about who you are. And I mean, some of the ladies I met afterwards, I figured out who they were, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe it. Like it was like really it was humbling, and at the same time like it I like came out of this shell like thinking, oh, like me from this little town in Canada, like these like glamorous ladies from LA, but I had no idea who they were or what they did. So I didn't know the connection. So we just got to see each other as human beings
Yes.
and connect on that level. It was incredible. And just um not necessarily having something in common.
Mm.
Like, oh, our kids play in the same soccer league. No, it's having the connection.
Yes. Uh, Going off of how it feels when you connect. I love that so much.
Hmm.
Um, that's so funny. It reminds me of when my husband and I, when we first met, I'm almost 6 feet and I walked in the room and he was sitting down. He was in my living room hanging out with some of my roommates and a bunch of his roommates, and he was sitting down and there was an empty spot kind of over by him, and I just went and sat down and started chit-chatting and stuff, and I just like literally fell in love with him. Like he was so funny and he was good looking and he spoke Spanish. That's important to me because I grew up in Mexico, so I wanted someone that would speak Spanish. And then he stood up and I was like, oh, never mind. Because he's about almost 5'9". So there's a good about 3 inches between us. And I was just like, that will never happen. There's absolutely no way, right? And so we just got to know each other as friends and finally had one of his roommates, like about 3 months later, after we just all of us been hanging out as friends, he was like, are you two really gonna let 2 inches determine your eternal salvation? Like, are you gonna let 2 or 3 inches like change like the course of your existence? Because everyone else could see what a good fit we were together and how much we enjoyed each other and everything, but it was just like, no, 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 no. But kind of like what you were saying, because I wasn't like trying to put my best foot forward and like being all the way you are when you're dating or when you're trying to get to know somebody or networking, right? Like we were just friends and we just had a really good time together and we just fell in love. You know what I mean? And that's what that feels like. What you were describing is we let go of all these preconceived notions of how we think things should be or who I'm a good match for or what I'm looking for in my business or all these things. And we're just like, just want to get to know you as another amazing woman, another daughter of God, and see if we mesh, see if our vibe feels like it, jives together. I love
Yeah.
that.
And that's where like we can like close your eyes and like doesn't matter what, race or religion or any kind of whether they have kids and their age, like nothing matters.
Yeah.
It's that connection.
Yes. 100%. The other thing I wanted to go back to that you've said twice now is that when you made self-care and you feeling good a priority, it changed everything for you. It shifted things in your business. It actually blessed your relationship with your family. And I feel like that's a piece that I know I was afraid of years ago when I was kind of like opening up to honoring myself more and loving myself more and placing my health and well-being at the forefront instead of putting it behind everybody else. I was afraid, and I see this in my clients all the time, they're afraid that they're going to be selfish. They're afraid that they're going to be like, oh, well, now I'm the most important and it's all about me and this, and I'm going to leave my husband and I'm going to leave my kids and like, screw everybody. It's all about me. And we're afraid of that. But in every single case, actually the opposite is what happens. And that's what you saw as well, right?
Yeah. And because, for so much of my life, it was about everybody else. And I was a people pleaser. So everything was external. So
You're Libra. We talked about that before.
yeah, so everything felt so it did feel counterintuitive and then just felt selfish. But when I like just changing that perspective, that mindset of who am I doing this for? Yes, I'm starting with me, but ultimately I am doing it for everybody else too.
Yes.
Because if I'm not like shining my light, like if we are not like delivering our gifts and being our best selves, like we're robbing all of the other people in the world of our gift.
Oh, it's so true. And there is people, I was just talking with my team earlier today. There are people who are waiting for you.
Yeah.
Each of us on here and everybody who's listening, there are people who are waiting for you. They're waiting for you to show up. They're waiting for you to shine. They're waiting for you to stop. And Steph, tell me your thoughts on this. I feel like one of the biggest pieces that actually keeps us from shining is we're being selfish. We're focusing on ourselves. We're focusing on like, but I don't know about this, and what are people going to say about me, and what are people going to think, and am I doing it right, and all this stuff, and we're focused on, and we just interesting because we just talked about like putting yourself first, right? But it's a different way of realizing that I don't have to be perfect to show up. I don't have to be perfect to serve. I don't have to be perfect to shine. I can do that right here, right now, exactly as I am in whatever stage of life that you are in. Just show up.
Yeah. Because that would be selfish if we aren't
Yes,
seeing
exactly.
like even Spider-Man says so,
I know,
you
right?
know,
Great power,
right?
great responsibility.
Exactly. So, whereas like when my kids were younger and like as when they would see me choosing my clients over them.
Hmm.
So when they saw
Glad
me,
you brought this up again because this is another piece we need to talk into. So keep going.
yeah, so when they saw me then caring for myself, at least they could see that and that I wasn't choosing another family or another client over them because they could see it and feel it that I was being more present.
Yeah,
And so that felt good. But yeah, if we're like restricting our gifts and not sharing it with the world, that is selfish. But taking care
exactly.
of ourselves and, going out with girlfriends or having time like going for a walk by yourself. We don't need to go and have a yoga retreat every six.
Weekend.
Yeah. We don't need to be gone all the time, but like we also need more than the 30 minutes in the shower by ourselves.
If you're lucky when you have little kids.
Yeah. We can't lock the door.
Right?
Mom, can I have the snack?
Little fingers like crawling through under the bottom. Mom, pushing Legos through. I have five boys, so this was my world. Like you're quoting Spider-Man. I'm like, oh yeah, you're speaking
Yeah.
our language, right? Well, and that's the thing is one of my favorite sayings is the kindest people have the clearest boundaries. And most of the time when we're feeling that mom guilt, when we're working on our job and then our, business guilt when we're spending time with our family, it's because we haven't set clear boundaries of when I'm with my family, I am 100% with my family. And I know this is hard being in the real estate industry, right? Like when I stepped into the real estate industry, all of a sudden I was like, oh, holy cow, this is very pushy, very masculine, very like, this is a Dylan, you got to get on and da, 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 right? And it's like, no, I am not willing to operate that way. I've spent too much of my life in that and I am not going back into that again. And so I've set very, very clear boundaries. This is my work time. And when I'm focused on my work time, my kids know, and granted, they're older, and so it's easier. But if I could go back, um I would be as clear as possible with that, and I would have very clear. And I did when my kids were little. I arranged play dates and trades with other friends so that I'd have their kids and I'd watch their kids so they could have their time, and then they would have mine so I could have my time. But we feel like it's rude or it's mean to have boundaries and to say no sometimes. But when we say no at the right time, then that lets us say yes when it is the right time. And if we're focused on our family when we're with our family, then when we're doing our business stuff, we have no mom guilt because we're like, no, I just spent X amount of time, and that's going to look different for all of us. But I just spent X amount of time completely focused and all in present with my family.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to give my business the same respect and the same, whatever that looks like, time.
Yeah. Love it.
And it's so powerful. And I found when I implemented that and I was able to just be really clear and I stopped trying to do work stuff when I was with the kids and I stopped trying to like finagle kid stuff when I was doing my business stuff. Like you talk about, the right blend. Like that is the right blend. It's finding what that looks like for each of us in our different stages of life that we're in.
Yeah, because we're not meant to multitask.
Mm. And that's when we get overwhelmed and burn out is when we're trying to do a million different things. It's like,
Yeah.
And it's a constant invitation to be aware and get more clarity on that, right? Because even knowing that and even practicing and preaching that, I just yesterday was like, there's just too many things going on all at once, right? And I was like, okay, focus in. What's the focus today? What's the goal, right? Like, let's focus on that. Make a list. I was literally up till about one. I didn't fall asleep till after 1:30 last night because my brain was just going a million miles a minute. So I was listening to stuff to slow my brain down. I was listening to just, whatever. And but I would just, anytime an idea or a thought, like they were just coming, ideas, downloads, all this stuff. And I was like, okay, it's 1 in the morning. Like I'd like to sleep now. But I just had a little notebook by my bed and I just like, okay, jot it down, jot it down. And so I looked at it in the morning and it's like chicken scratch. It's here somewhere of stuff written on top of each other because I couldn't see what I was doing, but at least I got it out of my head onto paper where I can then do something with it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
gosh,
and then from that decide what you need to do now, or like it's
exactly.
filed for later. Like, okay,
Exactly, exactly. I feel like we've scrolled around to so many different juicy topics that are all so important to us as women, as entrepreneurs, as business women. Steph, and in wrapping up, if there was like one piece of advice that you could give our listeners that are like, if you'll do this one thing, if you'll focus, and there's a million one things, right? But what's one piece that you have seen that's made the biggest difference for you personally in your life?
um, like I like to have like my daily three, or like I call them my dominoes for the day.
Ooh, I love it.
And it's just three things that if the world falls apart, if I get a flat tire, if a kid forgets a lunch, as long as I get those three done, I've won the day.
Okay, we want to hear where they are.
But I could like so I wake up in the morning and I decide what they are. Like, is it
Oh, so they're new each day.
yeah, and then that way like one of them could be going to the dry cleaner or
Mm.
getting some stuff to the accountant. Like it's something that's going to move the needle forward on
Yes.
your like weekly and like longer term goals.
Mm.
And it could change. And that's why I do it like either the night before or the morning of, because I want to tune into how I'm feeling that day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also like if something happens, if there's a crisis in your family or somebody's sick, it's like, okay, I'm going to change it. And like if I'm not feeling well or my kids are sick, my big three is having a shower, cooking soup, and, putting a load of laundry in. Like it just needs to fit where you are for the day.
I love that. That's so small, but so powerful.
Yeah.
Ah, so good. I feel like there's a million other things that we could talk about. And I even have my list here, and I'm like, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about that. So I'll have to kind of have you come back again and continue the conversation. But Steph, I'm so grateful that you were able to take the time to join us on the podcast and bless everybody who's listening. Tell our listeners how they can find you.
Okay, I am on all of the socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook as Steph C. Winger.
Love it.
And my website is the same, Steph Winger, stephcwinger.com. And happy to like chat with people, geek out a little bit more on this, and you know, even sit down and like have a wake up call and see like
Yeah.
where you're sitting with your goals and where you want to be.
Love it. So powerful. People will be so blessed. They are so blessed and will be blessed the more people that tune in and work with you. So happy to have you, Steph. Looking forward to having you again, continue the conversation where I think Steph and I and Tara from a couple weeks. So I think we're gonna do like some kind of yummy, fun, juicy something.
Some more magic, some more magic.
Like I know some more magic and miracles. Sounds amazing. All right. Thank you for joining us, Steph. Everybody who's listening, thank you for tuning in, listening. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for sharing and telling other people about our podcast here today. You know how this ends. And please remember, if you remember nothing else, remember you know who you are, you know whose you are, you know how this ends. And the more that you can enjoy the journey and enjoy the process and fill your life with love and so many amazing just feelings of gratitude and love, the more that this whole process will work together and the more joy you'll experience in the journey. And we're always after a feeling anyway. We think that the result is what's going to make us happy, but it's the process. It's the feelings we feel as we're in it. So, thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye.